Earlier, I spoke with South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy about Benghazi, Obamacare, and Edward Snowden. Hello, Congressman Gowdy. Thanks for being with us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Congressman. All right. The New York Times this week went to great lengths to say that the massacre of our ambassador in Benghazi, along with 3 other Americans, had nothing to do with al-Qaeda. And part of the proof that the New York Times used was they said that they had a reporter who was talking to the attackers during the attack. Now, you know, I have a few questions. Number one, did they tell this to the FBI? Number two, why did they wait 15 months to release this information? And number three, why weren't they running to the congressional committees and the Senate committees that were trying to figure out what was going on here? So my question to you, Congressman, is what's going on here?
I don't know. I've got more questions than I do answers, having read that article, that exhaustive article, Judge, including how many attackers were there? Of the universe of attackers, of that number, how many did you talk to? How many cited the video as the impetus behind the attack? And what did you do to cross-examine or corroborate the information that you were given? Because up until 2 weeks ago, Susan Rice was the only person on the planet who thought a video had something to do with our attack, and now that number has increased by 100%. It's gone from 1 to now 2.
Well, and you know, it's interesting when you say, you know, did you cross-examine your people regarding this information that you now come out 15 months later and say is so important? Their own newspaper reporters contradicted what this latest story is. Do you think that this whole thing about, oh, it's not al-Qaeda, kind of just fits in with the Hillary, oh, what difference does it make, and the 2014 elections, the 2016 presidential election?
Well, here's what I do know. Go back to when Benghazi happened. What was the narrative? At every rally, right after the president said, if you like your health insurance, you can keep it, what did he say? Osama bin Laden is dead and al-Qaeda is on the run. So what would happen if our fellow citizens knew that al-Qaeda really wasn't on the run? In fact, they were walking to the front gate of our facility in Benghazi, getting ready to kill our ambassador, 3 other fellow Americans, and set it on fire. How would that have impacted the election? I don't think it would have helped the president in 2012. It's not going to help Democrats in 2014. And the fact that her name, Hillary Clinton's name, was never mentioned in this exhaustive treatise on Benghazi.
Right, and let's move on, Congressman, to the whole issue of Obamacare. As of yesterday, briefs were filed in a case where Justice Sonia Sotomayor ended up signing an injunction. And the Obama administration is basically saying that the Little Sisters of the Poor, who take care of elderly individuals in our society, are not religious enough to qualify for a religious exemption. What do you make of that? Why is this administration taking on the Catholic Church like this?
This is not a complicated legal analysis. You have a fundamental right at play, which is religious liberty. Does the government have a compelling reason to force you to violate your religious beliefs? The answer to that is no. And even if you did, is there a less intrusive or less restrictive means of accomplishing the same goal? And the answer to that is yes. So legally they lose, and you would think a constitutional law scholar like the president would know that. I do not expect Kathleen Sebelius to know that. She habitually tells us she's not a lawyer, and all you have to do is listen to her be interviewed, and you know she's not a lawyer. But the president is supposed to be a legal scholar, which tells me this is not about the law. It's about politics. They want us to have to come on television and explain why contraception may be a great idea, even free contraception may be a great idea. You can't force people to violate their religious beliefs and provide it. They want us to carry the burden of persuasion for political reasons.
But whoever carries the burden is really, to me, not as important as you've got the White House taking on the Little Sisters of the Poor. I mean, this is crazy, and the whole idea that every few minutes he's giving an exemption to this union, he's giving an exemption to this group, he's doing favors for these people, most of the time illegal, when you have one constitutional fundamental right, and that is to exercise your religious freedom. He's over there like a bully on saying no to these Little Sisters of the Poor.
Well, the last time this administration went before the Supreme Court on a religious liberty case was Hosanna Tabor. It was 9-0 against the administration. You can't get the Supreme Court to agree 9-0 on which direction the sun rises. But 9-0, they said the administration was wrong. It's not about the law. It's about politics, and it's about trying to gin up this manufactured war on women. And shame on us if we let them get away with it.
And my last question, this week also some calling for Edward Snowden to be allowed back into this country. Do you think that he's done this country a service by informing us of what was going on that the government was lying to us about, or is he a criminal?
Both. Our country has a rich history of civil disobedience. In fact, most of my heroes have engaged in civil disobedience. The issue then becomes, do you face the music? You know, Martin Luther King Jr. wrote his letter from jail. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was executed. Eric Snowden needs to face the music. I don't have any heroes hiding out in Russian airports who are sharing information with our enemies, or certainly people who don't have our best interests. So if you want to do something, either go to a reporter in the United States, but don't share the information with our enemies. And if you do, come back and face the criminal justice system and see if you can convince a jury.
Do we know whether he shared secrets with other governments? Because, and just hear me out for a second here, the whole idea of Snowden, as people saying he could have been a whistleblower, he couldn't have been. He wasn't an employee. He was an outside contractor. He says he told 2 of his supervisors. At that point, don't you think that he might say, you know, maybe I ought to get out of here, I'm in big trouble?
Or he could have gone to you, Judge. He could have gone to a reporter in this country. I mean, seriously. I mean, we've got reporters right now who are winning in court when it comes to whether or not they have to disclose their informants. But he decided to go to another country that we have an interesting, if not provocative, history with, and he's hiding out in a Moscow airport trying to decide what country he wants to live in. I just don't have any heroes that meet that description. Mine pay the consequences. If he believes it enough, then do what Dr. King did. Do what Dietrich Bonhoeffer did. Face the music in a criminal court.
Said like a true prosecutor, Congressman Trey Gowdy. Always good to have you on the show. Happy New Year. And coming up, how the Obama administration plans to tell your doctors how to treat you. That's next. And this is your last chance to vote in tonight's Insta poll. We want to know, has Edward Snowden done this country a great service, or is he a criminal? Facebook or tweet us at Judge Jeanine.